This first DIY is using Dollar Tree's Beaded Hearts. I did a little off camera, just want to welcome you to the channel. Hope you enjoy the DIYs. I'll show a little part here where I wrapped twine around the metal part that shows. You'll see the twine ties. I try to use the floral wire, but it was too finicky and I couldn't do it tight enough. I have to still time in a knot. I want to be able to maybe move the wreath around in case I needed to. This metal part that's showing, I'm going to wrap my twine around and just fed it into the little hole. And here I lost footage putting in the middle bead, or I didn't hit record, I don't know. Either way, I put a big bead in the middle so I can give it a little better space while I made my shamrock stem with the beads, and I'm making a tassel. I'm wrapping it all around and gonna tie it off on the end of it so we have a cute little tassel. Everybody loves a tassel. So I'll add it to the bottom of the stem and tie it off, cut it up and do its little trim. This twine is pretty thick. I think I got it at Walmart and it was a little rough to cut. I need some better scissors. Here I am, finished tying it off, and then we're gonna do the trim up. I'm also gonna make a couple more finger bows you'll see coming up here. We're gonna add them to the center and it's gonna look like a little twine flower. I saw a YouTuber do this years ago, and my history is so full I have no idea who. So if anybody recognizes who made a bow like this, give them a shout out in my comments. You can make 2 or 3 so you can make the flower. I'm doing 2. Right now here I am fiddling around, kind of spreading them apart so they look a little more flowery. I'm doing the second one, adding to the top. And I'm going to dig through my buttons. I'm going to put a cute little button for a little extra embellishment to make it all look cute like it's the middle of the flower. I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to show some pictures. I'm going to go on to DIY number 2. This next DIY is just a mini shamrock garland with beads and a tassel. You can use it on a tiered tray or put it on a shelf. I'm doing an aqua wash on the shamrock and I got the beads soaking. These shamrocks you'll see here in the picture. I bought a bundle on Amazon. I'll link it in the description. I use it in a few of the DIYs throughout this video. Scooping out the beads here, and I'm going to rub them around a little bit because I don't want them solid color. I almost want them like a tie-dyed, like they're stained and aged. Let them dry. I made a tassel and I glued the end to itself so I can just string the bead right on top and butt it right up against the tassel. Do a little hot glue on the end. That always helps. Or a piece of tape when you're trying to string twine through beads or even thread or yarn. We're going to finish this up so we can go ahead and move on to the next DIY. I'm going to flash a couple pictures here and we'll see you in the next DIY. This DIY, we're going to make a cute little sign. I do a lot of airbrushing, so I show some airbrushing here. I had these little wooden letters in my stash, and here we are with another one of these shamrocks. If you're interested in my airbrush equipment and stuff, go ahead and leave a comment in the description and I'll do a video. I'm going to go ahead and do a little green dry brush. I had these all stuck in a piece of scrap contact paper. I like doing my little small pieces like that so they don't blow around. For one, when you do my airbrush or spray painting, and then your hands don't get so trashed. This is one of the Dollar Tree arrows. I'm going to cover it in scrapbook paper. This was actually inspired by a sign just like this from Whiskey and Wit. If I find the video, I'll link it in the description, so check out her channel. She's got a lot of great crafts. And I'm going to use Elmer's glue stick. I love using the glue sticks with scrapbook paper. Just make sure you put a nicer, thicker coat, particularly on the edges. And here I'm going to have to go a few rounds to make sure that the scrapbook paper is lining up properly. Because, you know, craft life. And I'll go ahead and smooth it out. I have this fun dish scraper that I'm going to use. I'd like to get a brayer. But this is what I have for now in my stash. I'm really trying to use stuff in my stash. But this little dish squeegee works great. And it helps smooth out the paper really good. And then I'm going to fill in the little spot here and just cut another piece. I'm going to put the shamrock over this so you won't even see the seam. And of course I do the sanding off camera. I do most of the sanding so you don't have to watch me for 10 minutes. I'm going to use some Aleene's glue and use it on the letters. I'm going to quick glue the shamrock over the seam so you can't see it like I said earlier. I like using the Aleenes or other glues to glue letters because hot glue tends to be too bulky. And I like to be able to have a little time to shift it around. You'll see here momentarily that I'm going to end up getting out the ruler just so I can at least make sure the first word, malarkey, is level. I'm eyeballing it. I don't need it perfect. I'm okay that it's imperfect. For the word shenanigans, I made it messy because shenanigans can be a little messy and fun. So I put the letters that way. And I'm going to end up doing another twine bow. Twine bows are a thing in all these DIYs. And I'm going to cover the little hole in the shamrock. And you'll see that I do a little sanding in a little dry brush of the green, the same I did on the letters and the shamrock on the legs. By the time I took the picture, I was like, the legs just need some work. Alrighty, we're going to be on to some pictures and the next DIY. This is quick and easy with the same shamrocks with a wash paint on it and a button and a magnet. And I'm going to keep it on my aqua fridge that I have in my kitchen. I decided to add some stitches on it, and here we are. This next one is a super quick and easy one as well. Another one of those shamrocks. They're such a steal on Amazon. It's like 30 I think for $10.99. But this is a little cutting board from Aldi. It came in a 4-pack. I think it was 2 round and 2 ovals. So I do a heavy green dry brush on it. And of course, we're going to do another twine tie bow. I'm going to dig through my buttons and find a button that works as well, just to give it a little bit of embellishment. Traditionally, I would use wood glue here, but I used hot glue, so maybe I could pop this off. And here we are with the twine bow, because, you know, this is the thing. I make twine bows for everything. Do you make twine bows for everything? Button added, and I actually have this up in my kitchen. I have some open shelving, and here it sits. You'll see in the picture. This DIY is just going to be a cute little wood plaque, and of course another one of those shamrocks. I'm just using the aqua wash that I used in the earlier DIYs. It's garage or paint from my garage. I just watered it down. The letters I end up soaking in the paint instead of painting them. And this is a rack from the Dollar Tree for cooling cookies or baked goods. I use it to dry crafts all the time. The little piece of wood square came from Michael's years ago, before Dollar Tree even ever offered those types of things. Using some more of the wood glue, or the glue stick and the scrapbook paper. And of course I have to peel it up a few times to line it up. I get out my dish squeegee, the handy dandy squeegee. It really works great for this, probably just as good as a brayer. And I go ahead and stick it on here. I sand the edges. I do a little sanding on the edges on the wood as well. On the corners, I do a little extra sanding to kind of round out the paper so the corners have a little bit of a roundness to them. I'm going to go ahead and add the shamrock. I'm using the Aleene's glue again for the letters because I don't like the bulk of hot glue. And I'm kind of for anything but hot glue for some items. I like other glues way better. I'm going to go ahead and get out my ruler so that they all line up as well. I'm still just eyeballing it. I don't care that things are imperfect and they're not lined up exactly perfect, but I at least want the bottom level. So I at least have a little more time to move the letters around using this Aleene's instead of hot glue. And of course, after the letters are done, we're going to add a little twine bow for the hole. Because, you know, that's a thing here. I know a lot of us do it to cover up the hole if you don't fill in the spackle. The little bow always looks cute. Alright, we're going to go on to some pictures as I finish this up and on to the lucky number 7 DIY. This DIY, I found this plaque at another dollar store that's local to me. And I quick put a little coat of clear gloss because I don't have shellac, because I don't want any bleed through those letters, just in case. So I'm doing a little airbrushing. Like I said, if you mentioned earlier, if you're interested in learning about my airbrushing stuff, leave me a comment. All right, I let it dry, and then I'm going to take a cotton ball, and I'm going to take some gray paint, and I'm going to give it like a wash, because I want it to settle into all the little crevices. And the paint, I could have used a second coat, but this is going to cover it up, because you can slightly see the letters through it. I wipe it back. My little towel is a little too wet, so I just take the cotton ball, and I wipe back some of the moisture, and I'm also going to do a dry brushing over this as well. But it actually kind of worked that it was a little damp. The dry brushing glided a lot nicer. I'll have to try that on another project. So I'm going to dry brush it all up. And I'm also going to take these hearts. I already did a wash painting on them. I probably saw a sneak peek of them in the last DIY. I am going to do a little extra dry brushing aqua. I did get those hearts from the Dollar Tree. I do all three. I also do, these are little mulberry flowers. I'll link some in the description I found on his Amazon. Better deal than I got at Michael's years ago. I've had them for a long time. The beads I'm dabbing a little bit of the paint on it as well because they're too stark white. They came in that bead set at Valentine's Day. The little wooden circle you see there I'm going to use to elevate the hearts came in that checkerboard set. I glued 3 together with wood glue, and I did it one for the middle and then one for the outside, so I could give like a 3D effect to the shamrock. See, we're forming a shamrock here. I'm going to go ahead, glue it all up, and I'm also going to do a little tassel. I put the one in the middle, and I'm going to glue the little tassel I made. First, I'm going to add the little beads that I showed you. I kind of dry brushed a little on just to tone down the white because they were way too bright. And I'm going to attach the tassel to the little wood piece in the center, so that it's going to hang down for the shamrock stem. And I just excuse me, I just can't talk. I glue it around so it's hidden underneath the 3 hearts, and you won't be able to see what's underneath there because it's going to be covered up. I'm going to finish gluing this around, and the little pointy parts of the hearts are going to rest on top of that little wood circle. I'm using wood glue for this. Of course, I glopped it all over. I had to put it out in a little thing because it's really cold in my craft space. My glue just did not want to come out. And I wasn't going to try to fiddle with it when I was on camera with you. So I put some on a mason jar lid. One day I'll have some heat up there. It's very cold. I froze for you doing these DIYs, just so you know. And I'm going to take those little mulberry flowers, and I'm going to put it in the middle so that it hides this. I also have these little half pearls. I actually found them in one of those places where you can go in and dig through bins and everything's $1. I found a little bag of those pearl things. I did find some on Amazon. That's actually a great little bargain, I think, and I'll link them in the description. I also put the pearls on all 3 of the little holes to cover the holes instead of me spackling it. I almost was going to roll with the holes, but I end up covering them with a little pearl, and I pop her back in the frame. Alrighty, this is the last Lucky 7. St. Patrick's Day DIY. I hope you enjoyed, and if you actually stay till the end, I do have some bonus pictures of other stuff I've made. I also have another St. Patrick's inspiration video of stuff I've also made over the years if you'd like to check out. It'll pop up here in the end. See you next time.